Alrighty, and we are live.
Okay. I start?
Yeah, that
Oh,
sounds great.
sorry. We're here. Good evening or good morning, whatever, wherever you are in the world. For me, it's evening. I'm here with Mackie Nelson and Karen Koenig, and we're kicking off a new project in the group. And that's about becoming financial aware. It is a topic which is super close to my heart because I think it's so important that, especially at our age, that we don't hide ourselves anymore and that we take this really seriously because the chances are that something happens and you don't know anything and you don't want to arrive at that point when you're in an emotional turmoil. So for me, I had a wake up call a couple of years ago and I said, okay, I really don't know anything. And I dived in deep and it was kind of shock. And Karen tonight will talk about divorce, and that is the kickoff for a series of talks with financial experts, I hope, with Maggie leading it. I'm super grateful that I've met you and your mom, that we are starting this project. And I would like to say, I would like to give the word to Karen because I don't want to keep you up too long. But thank you very much for being in my group, and I really encourage everybody to listen to these talks because it's important, and we will come back on it with different posts. Have a nice time with Karen and Maggie. Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you, Leontine.
See you. Bye bye.
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 Yeah, as Leontine mentioned, my name is Maggie, and I am a partner at Purse Strings. At Purse Strings, we're all about providing women free financial education. And that's what we're doing today. Just little tips, tricks, knowledge, and know-how to get some questions answered. But then it's always, who can I go to? Who can I really trust? So we have a list of top tier financial professionals who are willing, ready, and able to serve you. They always love to serve the female market. And we call those our Purse Strings approved professionals. Karen Koenig is one of them. And today we have Karen on to talk about different types of divorce. So first of all, Karen, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And before we get started, could you give the audience just a little overview of yourself?
Yeah, so I spent 26 years in the military and then about 6 years in aerospace. And then when I was 50, I decided to change careers completely and become a financial advisor. So I've been a financial advisor for a little over 7 years, and I was with a large company, but then went independent last year. So in April of last year. So a little over a year on my own as an entrepreneur, as an independent. So yeah, and I love to do shows like this, and educate people. So
awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on today. I know divorce can be a hard topic, but we, kind of wanted to share that it's not always just going straight to the courthouse, and that doesn't always have to be the process. So there's I guess there would say there's three main overarching types of divorce. Could you share what those are?
So going through some of the coursework that I've been doing for the Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, there's three main areas, which is called, you can go to litigation, which is basically you both have lawyers and you go through litigation and you get divorced that way, but it's very costly. You can do a pro se divorce, which is basically you do it on your own. And there is some people that do that if they don't have any property or those types of things. And then you can go through alternative dispute resolution, which is comprised of what most people know and hear these days is mediation, arbitration, or collaboration.
Awesome. So we can kind of dive into all of those because I know those are a lot of different words for everyone. So yeah, as you said, litigation is just what people typically think of just kind of getting lawyers and going to the courthouse. And so then you said the other one is pro se divorce, correct?
Yeah. So pro se divorce is really when you choose not to use an attorney. And it's there's about 50% of the people that go through divorces that don't hire attorneys, which I think is a pretty high percentage.
I agree.
But there's several problems with doing pro se divorce that people don't realize. And it comes down to three things. It's income taxes, missed assets, or pensions. So when I talk about income taxes, is people don't realize the tax tax consequences of transferring property. So transferring a house or transferring stock between two parties. I know people know what the word cost basis means. So when you own a stock and you have a very low cost basis, when you transfer that stock, the cost basis gets reassigned to the current basis. And so the person who receives that stock ends up having to pay taxes on that difference. And you may not know that. And so you go, yep, I'm going to send these stocks over to you. And then all of a sudden you get this huge tax bill from the IRS. So that's one thing that can happen. The other thing is missed assets. So, and this is one thing that I got divorced in 2008, and both of us were in the military, and we had kids at the time. And we kind of split everything 50-50. But now that I went through the coursework, what I should have done is there was a missed opportunity for me to get his pension, which I'll talk about in a second. But, or I can talk about that right now. But a lot of people think about the retirement accounts, which is the 401ks or the IRAs or the Roths or that type of stuff. But he had a military pension that he got right away when he retired. My military pension, I don't get until I'm 60. So it was a missed opportunity for me, where hiring like a CDFA or understanding the pensions, you can do a future value of what that pension's going to be. And then you use that as something in your divorce as a bargaining chip. So, hey, you got this pension, and now I want to be able to get part of it. So, so that's a consequence of not really understanding people's pensions or how it comes into play. And then the last one is the missed assets. And that's where people don't understand the difference between marital and separate property. So some property can be transferred without fully understanding the legal options. And a lot of people don't realize what you had before you came into the marriage is yours and always is yours and is not part of the divorce. And when you come into the divorce, whatever you have as marital property then is divided 50-50. So that's another thing. So those are the three areas: the taxes, the missed assets, and the pensions that could really kind of get you in trouble if you do a pro se divorce.
And for a pro se divorce, what professionals would be involved in that process? Well,
so you could hire a CDFA, so a certified divorce financial analyst, who's going to help you with these areas. So you could still do it without an attorney, and then you could hire the CDFA to make sure that you hit all the assets and you're not doing something that you may regret later. Because like I talked to a gal the other day that said that she got divorced, and well, we didn't really have anything. We rented. And I said, well, what about your 401ks and what about those types of things? And she just kind of looked at me, and I said, well, I think that was a missed opportunity. I hate to tell you that because you're already divorced.
Right.
But, she says, well, it was amicable. And it's like, well, I get it, but still that doesn't, it doesn't negate the time that you were married and the time that he put money into that 401k, or you put money into that 401k for that matter, and he didn't get part of yours. So
yeah, it seems like it can turn into a lot of you just don't know what you don't know at the time, because unless you go through this divorce training, you're not really a divorce expert, and so a lot of easy missed opportunities, or ways to divide things.
Right. It's just like I tell people, why would I hire a financial advisor? Why would I hire a CDFA? And it's like, well, do you cut your own hair? I mean, you hire a professional to do the things. You hire a real estate agent, you hire a mortgage broker, you should hire a financial advisor to take care of that stuff for you too, because we know things that you probably aren't, that you don't know.
And that's why I pay you.
Right, exactly.
And so then there's this kind of third overarching form, that's the alternative dispute resolution. And there's some different ways under that as well. So can you kind of explain what alternative dispute resolution is?
Yeah, so there's three areas, like I said, and we'll get a little bit deep and dirty, and this will take a little bit of time, but mediation is the first one, and then we'll talk about arbitration, and then we'll talk about collaborative or collaboration type divorces.
And I just want to pop in, and if anyone wants to put in questions, comments, please pop them in the chat. But carry on, Karen.
Yeah, so mediation is basically a resolution form where you hire an independent third party that works with the couple to mediate the divorce settlement. Now, they have no legal ability to give you advice. They're strictly there to mediate the process. They're a neutral third party who just helps with the case. Now, there is lawyers that are also mediators, or mediators that are also lawyers. So you can mediate all you want, but you're still going to have to hire the lawyer to then provide the court documents for you to give over to the court. And there's a couple of different types of mediation too. You've got a private mediation, and then you have court-ordered mediation. And I know this gets a little bit into the weeds, but private mediation, the parties voluntarily hire the mediator to help them reach an agreement. Or it could be court-ordered, meaning the mediator is appointed by the court. However, they can order them to mediate, but they cannot order them to settle. So there's a difference there. So that's, we can, like I said, getting into a little bit of the weeds here, but so private versus court-ordered, it's a third-party neutral person that helps you, and then they cannot provide any legal advice to you.
Okay, interesting. And so then, so if that's mediation, then there's what, arbitration?
Arbitration. So then arbitration is where you have two parties, they're sharing in the decision making, but what happens is maybe they can't move past something in the mediation or in the arbitration. They hit a deadlock. So what they do is they'll hire an arbitrator who will go in, and both parties have to agree that whatever the decision that the arbitrator comes up with is the final decision for that particular matter. So you do have to sign. So it's good where both parties disagree on something, can't move past a deadlock, and they're going to accept this third party, which is different than the mediator. So they would hire in this arbitrator to come in and make that decision for them.
Who is an arbitrator? Is that like somebody, do you have to have a certain qualification?
It's normally, that's a good question, because I don't know if I ever researched who could be an arbitrator. Usually it would probably be someone who has some type of collaborative law background, but that's a good question, and I can find out more about that.
I was just thinking, like an arbitrator is a unique title. I wonder what you need to kind of be an arbitrator,
right?
And be the decision maker. So then the third one is collaboration, correct?
Collaboration, which is it's collaborative law, and all the people have specialized training. So it's a group. It's like a divorce. It's like a group approach to getting you divorced. And so you've got the person who does the legal portion of it, which is your lawyer or the mediator. And then you've got the person who does the financial piece, which could be a financial advisor or a CDFA. And then you also have the emotional portion of it, which is the mental health, because there's a lot of people who go through divorce. My sister just got divorced a year ago, and I got a text message from her yesterday. She says, I feel like I'm going crazy. And I go, why is that? And she said, because it's been 1 year, 2 years since we separated, 1 year since we divorced, and I just feel like I'm never, ever going to be happy again. And it's like, I think you need to go and talk to, a therapist or something, because a divorce is like somebody dying. And I think it's hard for people to get that. Especially if one person didn't really want the divorce, that can be bad on a person. So you've got the legal, the financial, and the mental health. But then you also, if there is children involved, then you can bring child experts or children therapists into the practice. So collaboration is it's a new way to do things. It's highly effective divorce method, because you're hitting all the different points of the divorce, not just the cut and dry, let's go to the courthouse and get it done type thing. So you're hitting all the areas.
And so, a collaboration divorce, like you mentioned, has a lot more professionals in it. Would this divorce be more costly than a normal, like going to the court divorce?
Well, it could be because, you're hiring a lawyer to file the paperwork. So, like I just literally right before this call got done talking to a divorce lawyer, and she mediates, like I said. So she mediates, can't give any legal advice, and she represents only one of the clients. And she said
Right.
normally she represents the one that has the least buying power or the least, spend power. And so then they get one-stop shopping. They get the mediation, so it's not as costly. She provides the documents to get them through the court system. So yes, you'd have that cost. And then you would have the cost of hiring the CDFA or the financial advisor. Or if you already work with a financial advisor, that's a cost, usually financial advisors, that's kind of baked in. They'll help with those types of things.
Right.
And of course, mental health, if you hire a therapist or something, yes, that is going to cost you. So, if you're looking at it as one big picture, yes, it could get costly. But if you're looking at it as I'm hiring separate people to do the pieces of the pie that I need help with, it's probably less costly in the long run.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense. I just know sometimes with lawyer fees, those just add up, or all the professionals sometimes don't even equal the lawyer fees, which is kind of wild. And so, yeah, I would like to just kind of, share with the audience quick that you are getting your CDFA, which stands for Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. Which is kind of a new certificate. Not a lot of people know that there's this resource out there.
Right.
So could you explain kind of like what that allows you to do, or, why you would go to someone with a CDFA?
Yeah. So what a CDFA can do for you, and like I said, I got divorced in 2008, and I wish I would have at least had a financial advisor or had known about a CDFA, because as I was going through the classes, I realized there's some things that I didn't ask for because I didn't know about it. So the CDFA is going to know about all the different financial points and be able to ask the right questions to the different parties to figure out all the different assets. Where what the lawyers do is they throw a financial packet at you, and it's the same packet that the CDFA works from, but they don't give you any guidance on how to fill it out. They say, hey, fill this out. Your lawyer says fill this out. You hand it into them. They look it over. And, lawyers are good for what they do. They're good for the legal piece, but they don't necessarily know all the financial pieces, especially like the pensions, like I said, where there's a calculation that the CDFAs use to calculate the future value of that pension for when that person, let's say you get married when you're 35 and you're married for 10 years and you get divorced at 45, that guy has a pension that he's going to take at age 65. So you run a calculation to figure out what his pension would be when he's going to be 65, and you use half of that to figure out the division of assets. So that's one thing when I was going through class, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I do that? But it's
because who would know? Who would know?
The lawyer talked us into, well, let's just go 50-50. You have a pension, he has a pension. And then when we got right down to it, I said, it's not even I even said it's not an equitable pension. Well, then we would have to hire someone to figure it all out. Well, yeah, let's do that. And both the lawyers talked us out of it. And I'm just, so I think sometimes the lawyers just want to get in and do quick and dirty, and they don't do due diligence on the financial piece. So we can help with that, and we can help find assets too, because realistically, people lie when it comes to divorces. They don't tell about, oh, I have this, stock over here that I bought, without telling my spouse. And usually we can dig, and once we know their social security number and we know how to we can look up some things that people don't have access to. And you can find out these little things that people have, and then it ends up being more equitable. And then you'll also have lots of times one of the spouses will say, I'll give you this, this, and this, because you're going to get that, that, and that. And in their mind, they think it's equitable. But when the CDFA does the actual calculations side by side, it's usually not equitable.
Right.
One example is like UTMAs, which is a uniform trust for kids that parents can take out, and the kids actually, it's their asset once they turn 18. But in a divorce settlement, it's not the parent's asset, but a lot of parents count it as their asset because they paid for it. They're the one who took out the UTMA. Well, sorry, it's actually your 18-year-old child's, whether they're 10 or 5. So that's an asset. And that was interesting to me. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's not a personal asset. It's actually the beneficiary's asset. So those are the types of things that I think the lawyers don't understand or they look over.
Yeah.
Obviously lawyers are smart and they do their piece of the pie, but that's why you would hire, a CDFA. And quite frankly, the lady that I just talked to, who's a divorce attorney, she said they're working with a CDFA, but it's because the wife hired the CDFA, but there really isn't any division of assets other than their house. So really, to be, a legit CDFA, and in that case, I would pull myself out of it and say, look, it's just a division of the house. There's no reason to have a CDFA.
Right.
Ethically, I don't want to charge you because, there's nothing else to,
help you with.
And even though the husband has a business, but he doesn't have any employees, and there's really no reason to hire a forensic accountant to look at what his assets are or any of that type of stuff. So.
Right. Well, yeah, thank you for that explanation. I know, it's very much, the attorneys know the law and they're good at what they do. And then you get, financial professionals who know the finances and do what they do. And I know I was just on a call with a different financial professional, and it's just interesting the more you dive in that nothing, all the dollars are kind of worth different things, depending if the money's in the house or in a fund or in a this or in a that between taxes. It's not dollar for dollar, which is something that you have to realize and kind of dive into then if you are separating the finances.
And then there's little nitnoid things like when I got divorced, my ex bought a brand new truck right before we got divorced. So therefore there was no equity in the vehicle. Well, I had 2 vehicles that had equity. So I ended up having to give him something because I had equity in my vehicles. And it's like, oh, well, that was nice of you to go buy a brand new car that has no equity.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces, and everyone's story. You would have never known about the truck if you never bought a truck. You wouldn't know that situation,
Exactly.
And so it's all situational, which is why you hire a professional. And so I feel like we've gone through a lot of great information today. Are there any other pieces or pieces of information you want to make sure the ladies here today?
Well, I just want them to know, like if you are, contemplating a divorce, let's say you're waiting to get divorced because in 2 years your kids will be out of the house. The best time to hire a CDFA is before you get divorced, because then you can start copying all of the assets. You can take, copies of all of the 401ks. You can take copies of all these things before you ever leave the household, which is going to help in the divorce. Because like in my case, my ex I had all of the documents in a file cabinet, and it's because I'm the one who did all the finances. However, if he had done all the finances, I wouldn't have access to any of that information. So every time he said, oh, I own this, I would produce a piece of paperwork that showed that I owned it. So it's a good, I just want them to know that don't wait till the last minute. So if you're contemplating divorce, just understand all the different moving parts. And really, you should hire the professionals. There is sometimes where you could do it on your own, but just realize if there's any type of assets, you really should hire someone to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Karen, for coming on today and providing this great education. Karen's email has been going through the bottom here, karen@kkfinancialsolutions.us. And so you can reach out to her if you have any questions. Also, you can go to the Purstrings site, purstrings.co, to see Karen's profile. She's also on there, as well as our other Purstrings approved professionals who can help you in this journey. And please reach out if you have any questions, and we hope to see everyone again in this group soon. So thank you again, Karen, and we'll all talk soon.
All right. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.